Did you know that Hinduism promotes organ donation? The first example of organ donation in the world can be found in Hindu mythology. Sage Dadichi, who happily donated his bones so that Lord Indra could use them to create a weapon, the Vajra, to kill demons. For those of you who also may be familiar with plant-based treatments, Ayurveda, the plant-based medical treatment practice, has its roots from Hinduism. The largest Hindu temple in the world is surprisingly not in India. Really? So where is it? It's actually located in Angkor, Cambodia. Hinduism has spread across many countries over the years, especially in Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Malaysia, Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, and other Southeast Asian countries. The people following Hinduism around the world are approximately 1 billion people, which is about 14% of the world's population. That is a huge chunk of the population.
I love the whole art of henna, but besides coloring your hands and feet and beautifying the body, henna is a very powerful herb. This herb can help lower stress levels and keep the body cool. It decreases the tension level of the body, so applying henna before a wedding is a very good killer of stress. As the wedding day approaches, the excitement level as well as the stress level of the bride and groom increases, so it's definitely a good idea to apply some henna during that time. Now, this is a pretty interesting one. Eating food on the floor. Yeah, it's not just a practice passed down from generation to another. Eating while sitting on the floor is commonly known as sitting in a Sukhasana pose. Now, we can see this tradition even in movies, and the Sukhasana position is also a yoga position. When you sit on the floor, you normally sit by crossing your legs. Now, the position brings calm and also helps in digestion. It is also believed that this position automatically sends signals to your brain to prepare your stomach for digestion. In at the number 3 spot, sleeping in a certain way. Hindus believe that you should not sleep with your head towards the north because it invites ghosts and the possibility of death. But science says that the body has its magnetic field and the earth is a magnet, so when we sleep north, our magnetic field and the Earth's magnetic field become asymmetrical. Now, this can cause problems in your body like blood pressure, and it also causes your heart to work harder in this position. Another scientific reason is that we have a significant amount of iron in our body, and sleeping in this position can cause it to accumulate in our brains. Yeah, never knew that. This can lead to headaches, as well as Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, as well as general brain degeneration. Number 2 leads us to this practice of worshiping deities. Researchers say that worshiping your deity can help you increase concentration in your prayers. According to psychiatrists, a person will shape their thoughts on what he or she sees. And if you have 3 different objects in front of you, your perception of all of them will be different based on their appearance. So the ancient deity worshiping started when they felt the need that people should focus on worship without any sort of other mental distractions. It kind of just helps bring your mind in one singular mode so you can focus. And yeah, it's said to be a very powerful tip for manifesting your desires. Worshiping a deity, worshiping one god, as it's mentioned in other religions. Now, the practice we're gonna end up on is fasting. Ayurveda is an ancient Indian medical system that says that any disease is caused when there is an accumulation of toxic materials in your body. The removal of toxic materials from the body can help you lead a healthy life. So while fasting, your body can take a rest and it can heal itself. It is also said that if you take lemon juice during the period of fasting, it can prevent flatulence, the buildup of gas there. And Ayurveda says that the human body is 80% liquid and 20% solid, just like planet Earth. And the gravitational force of the moon affects the liquid content of your body, and it can cause emotional instability in your body. Research research has also shown that regular fasting can help you decrease the risk of cancer and many other diseases. So yeah, there's a whole lot going on that's affecting our bodies, so any way that we can help flush out toxins will be greatly beneficial.
So in Hinduism, a person who steals away somebody's property is taken by Yama's men to hell. And Yama, or Yamaraja, by the way, is a Hindu and Buddhist deity of the underworld. So after being taken, a person is given no food or water and is beaten by Yama's men. For fact number 4, a person who neglects his parents will go to Kala Sutra. Now he will then be made to stand up in a vessel made out of copper, and below it there's going to be a fire that's lit, and then the sun is going to be beaming down on this person's head, and he will have to endure this heat for thousands of years. That's another punishment. Also, according to Hindu belief, if a person torments someone who has already suffered, they will go to Andakupa, and that's where that person is going to constantly be stung by mosquitoes as well as bitten by snakes. Ouch! Also, you know, if there's a bad ruler or even one of his servants misuse their power, they go to Vaitarani, and that's a place where they're going to be punished in a river filled with all manner of filth, and all manner of germs and bacteria will start biting that person as punishment. For fact number 2, if somebody gives false evidence or promises but goes back on his word, or if someone is dishonest in his business, that person will go to a Vichiman. And there, that punishment is that people will be rolled down a hill repeatedly and experience great agony. So we looked at some of the punishments for sins in Hinduism, but I do want to leave off on a different note for fact number 1. It has to do with the concept of good and evil. So in Hinduism, there's a cosmic struggle that's reflected in the Dharma Satra as well as the Puranas, but it's not like good and evil like the Abrahamic religions portray, but this struggle is between chaos and order. And it's believed that sins are a symptom of chaos, a disturbance of social order and harmony that's based on selfish individual motives known as svartha, and it's not in any way related to a force of evil like the devil or Satan or Iblis like in the religions of Christianity and Islam and other Abrahamic religions, or just other religions in general that believe in the concept of good and evil fighting against each other.
It's also prophesied that wealth and piety will decrease day by day until the world will be totally depraved. Then property alone will confer rank. Wealth will be the only source of devotion, passion will be the sole bond of union between sexes, falsehood will be the only means of success in litigation, and women will be objects merely of sensual gratification. Earth will be venerated for its material treasures, the Brahminical thread will constitute the Brahmin, external types will be the only distinction of several orders of life. Dishonesty will be the universal means of subsistence, weakness will be the cause of dependence, menace and presumption will be substituted for learning, liberality will be devotion, simple ablutions will be purification, mutual assent will be marriage, fine clothes will be dignity, and water afar off will be esteemed a holy spring. Amidst all castes, he who is the strongest will reign over the principality. No man's life will exceed 23 years. Thus in the age of Kali shall decay constantly proceed until the human race approaches its annihilation. And that's taken from the Vishnu Purana 4 verses 24. Now it says a whole lot, I just paraphrase and cut it down into some bite-sized chunks. But nevertheless, that's pretty much the picture that the passage paints. Now let's talk about the prophecy of the indulgence of sexual commerce. The learned pandits, who are the Hindu theologians, for their part will indulge in sexual commerce with the wives like buffaloes. They are experts in breeding children and are not at all clever in attaining enlightenment. The substance and depth of things has disappeared everywhere, and that's in the Srimad Bhagavata. Prophecy number 3 is Vishnu as Kalki. It said that Vishnu will return as Kalki upon a white horse as the last avatar amid fire and flames, and that's found in the Hindu Puranas, and that's believed to be written about 900 CE. Prophecy number 2 goes a lot in detail about afflictions and enlightenment. So it says that in the Kali age, men will be afflicted by old age, disease, hunger, and from sorrow there will arise depression, indifference, deep thought, enlightenment, and virtuous behavior. Then the age will change, deluding their minds like a dream, by force of fate, and when the golden age begins, those left over from the Kali age will be progenitors of the golden age, thus there is eternal continuity from age to age. And you can find that in the Linga Purana, chapter 1, verses 40. Kind of gives you a picture of like things are going to get really bad and then get really good afterwards. It's definitely a similar theme that we see popping up in other religions. And finally, the number one prophecy is suffering and health, money, and more. So yeah, like I said, just talking a little bit more about things getting bad before they get good. This passage says, already vexed by famine and heavy taxation, people will perish through drought, excessive cold, storms, scorching sunshine, heavy rain, snowfall, and mutual conflict. In the age of Kali, men will be tormented by hunger and thirst, sickness, and worry. And that's found in the Srimad Bhagavata. Hindus are all vegetarians. I hear this one quite often too. Now it's true that many Hindu people practice vegetarianism, but many others eat as they feel. It's estimated that 30 to 35% of Hindus are vegetarians due to the spiritual belief of ahimsa, which refers to the non-violence against living things. Most spiritual leaders are vegetarians, but the common Hindu follower is more likely to eat meat. Moving on to number 4, the Hindu Bible is the Bhagavad Gita. I honestly thought this too. So I bought myself a copy of the Bhagavad Gita and I was like, okay, this is totally not a Bible or anything like that. So the Bhagavad Gita is widely recognized, but it's not a Hindu Bible. The Bhagavad Gita teaches many principles of Hinduism through a dialogue between Prince Arjuna and Lord Krishna, and the Hindu sacred texts are divided into Sruti, meaning what is heard, and Smriti, meaning what is remembered. And the Gita is used by many as a moral guide, but it's just one of the many Hindu texts. Oh my god, Hindus worship cows. Okay. Hindus do not actually worship cows like one would worship God or anything. So this is a common misconception, and it's due to the fact that Hindus treat cows in a very special way because they believe that cows represent life and sustenance of life. And because they eat only grains and grass and water, and it provides so much like milk, cheese, and butter and fertilizer and all of that, it's honored because, hey, this animal takes less, but it gives out so much more. So because the cows are honored in this way in Hinduism and Indian society, it appears to outsiders that they're worshipped like one would worship a god, but they just say that this is strictly just honoring the cow. Lie number 2, Hindus worship idols. Yeah, many people believe that Hindus worship idols because the rest of the world's major religions like Islam and Christianity, they both forbid any form of idol worship. However, Hindus don't consider what they do as idol worship. Instead, they view it as, hey, we see God in everything. So all objects are considered arka, which is a living embodiment of God. And Hindus call the practice Murti Puja, means image worship, and it refers to the belief that the entirety of creation is a form of God, so that his form is in everything. So yeah, that can be really confusing, and that can look like it totally contradicts everything that Islam and Christianity teaches about idol worship. But hey, I guess different strokes for different folks. And finally, the lie at number 1 is Hinduism advocates being anti-materialistic. You gotta give up your wealth, you can't be rich, none of that stuff. Well, what Hinduism teaches is that materialistic pursuit or chasing after sensual pleasures is not actually going to provide you everlasting happiness. Hinduism advises that one must practice moderation and must be completely careful of their life and not get too carried away in any area. Hinduism also places liberation or moksha as the ultimate goal of life, and for the majority, the path of progress towards this goal of moksha includes dharma, meaning righteousness, artha, meaning materialism, and kama, meaning sensual enjoyments. So yeah, you can have all of those things. It's totally fine. Hinduism is not against any of them. Now the final tradition that I want to look at in Hinduism is Smartism. Now Smartism is a bit different from other Hindu traditions because it's not just specifically about one god. It doesn't revolve around
one god or goddess. Smartists is what you call those who follow Smartism. They may worship any god that they choose, but the most common of these gods are Shiva, Ganesha, Vishnu, Surya, Skanda, and Shakti as well. They're also open to worship any of the avatars of these gods. Now, the Smarta tradition developed during the classical period around the beginning of the Common Era. And the term Smarta also refers to Brahmins who specialize in the Smrta corpus text named the Griya Sutras. And when we look at the etymology of this word, the meaning of the term Smarta relates to memory or something that's recorded. So those are the four main branches of Hinduism, all of which have other sub-branches with different variations based on the region and also the cultural practices. Now, there are also many minor branches of Hinduism. Some of the main minor traditions are Shratism. Now, they put a lot of importance on the performance of a Vedic sacrifice called yajna, where they place various types of offerings into a fire. Then there is Suryism or Sarism, and this is the worship of Surya as the main form of Saguna Brahman, which means the absolute with qualities. There's also Ganapatism, where Lord Ganesha is worshipped as the main form of Saguna Brahman. Kamaram is another one that's found in South India as well as Sri Lanka, and in this tradition, Lord Muruga Kartikeya is the supreme god. Then there's also Indonesian Hinduism, where the followers consider Asintya as the supreme god, as well as they view all other gods as his different manifestations. I also found some other newer forms of Hinduism, and those are Ananda Marga, Arya Samaj, Ayavadzi, Brahmoism, Prathana Samaj, Ramakrishna Mission, Sri Narayana Dharma Paripalana. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. There's also the Swadhyay Parivar movement and the Satya Sai organization. Now, with these different traditions, it's very common that you're going to find Hindus revering Shiva, Vishnu, and Shakti, as well as celebrating festivals that relate to them in different times of the year. Many Hindu temples also feature multiple gods in there, so you're gonna find a lot of overlap in the Hinduism traditions. But with the freedom that Hinduism really brings, there's not much division in terms of what is the actual right belief in Hinduism, because it's so liberating and so free and open in terms of what you can believe in the religion. That's why many people don't want to call it a religion. They just say Hinduism is their way of life. Hey, listen, if this attribute connects with you, you're free to believe in that. If Shakti and female energy speaks to you, well, you're free to revere that as well. All still seen as different manifestations and qualities of the supreme being, God.